Hey, this is Saul Roth, and I've got a fan theory that's killer to share with you today. Hopefully, you've seen it. There's a movie called The Platform. It's a sci fi dystopian horror movie that's on Netflix, originally a Spanish film. If you haven't seen it, stop watching this because mad spoilers are about to come out. But here's my fan theory. In it, there's this prison called The Hole. The main character's thrown in, and there's a platform that brings food down.
Solo lo que necesita. La comida llegaría al nivel más bajo.
And it starts in the upper levels and progresses down to the lower levels. If everyone rationed their food, there'd be enough food for everybody. But that's not what happens. The people in the upper levels eat more. By the time it gets to a certain level, there's none left, and the people in the bottom levels starve. And then there's all kinds of terrible things happening in there. People killing each other and eating human flesh. And it all kind of devolves from there. Now, what's interesting is people are sent here for doing horrible crimes like murder and also voluntarily go. And they're all thrown in, assigned these numbers, and put in this up and down prison type thing with this platform, bringing food down every day. Now, my fan theory, a lot of people watch this and they get swept up into the main character trying to find a reason and trying to find a solution to the whole. That spontaneously gets people to work together, to gets food to all the levels, or that sends a message that they've beaten it, right? That's a message of hope, a message of something. And they're really focused on what the end goal is, what the solution to this is. And there's that little girl that gets brought up the platform, and they're like, what if we could reach the cooks? They're really interested in reaching out. And what's interesting is I think the viewers get swept up in that journey, and they're swept up in the adrenaline of trying to get the food there and taking the platform, and then, say the little girl, that they miss this incredible darkness. Or maybe it's not supposed to be here, but the way I read it is there's this incredible darkness going on because the prison isn't a prison at all. It's a rehabilitation center. It's not like a prison in America or a prison in other places where it's designed to punish you for bad things you've done. That's why you can go involuntarily. It's designed as a grand filter. It's designed to filter out the people who couldn't become extremely loyal subjects without morality, who will do whatever the system tells them to do. Basically, if you go in there with your altruistic ideas, it beats the shit out of you, and you give those up, and you do what you have to do to survive, if you decide to go that route. And the ones who are weak, or the ones who refuse to do it, the ones who refuse to follow the rules, refuse to follow the system, die. And so it's this ultimate beat the shit out of people and take them out to make them complete blind followers to a fascist or authoritarian regime. Let me explain how it works. So when the people go in, and you'll see this from the different characters, they may have some grand ideas about humanity being good. They may have some grand ideas about how, what if we ration out? Or why don't they eat less? And they might have ideas of how to get the platform to work, or how to get other people to work. They might have altruistic ideas that maybe they're going to help other people. And they might have, and here's the hint, and here's the fan theory, rebellious ideas of how they could bring down the system, or things that could be done better, or all of these different ideas. Idealism. This tower, this hole, is designed to absolutely crush the idealists, convert them into people that will just do whatever to survive and follow the orders of the system, or die, and destroy any hint that could possibly burn into rebellion. So, the idealists go in there with ideas, then they see the people in the upper levels eat whatever they want. They're discouraged. They realize they're going to starve if they don't figure something out, or could starve. And then the ones that don't make it through are killed and eaten by the people that do. The people that do make it through the lower levels and wait out their time have ostensibly, most of them, murdered other people and done horrible things. So once they've done horrible things to survive, following the rules of the system, when they're let out, they're pretty much not going to tell anyone what they've done in there. And they're pretty much going to follow the rules so they don't ever go back. And they're going to do what they're fucking told. And anyone who had any hint of being a good person and any hint of fighting to the death against crimes against humanity is killed and eliminated within the system itself. It's a way of taking all your grand ideas. See, the main character's got a book and he doesn't want to eat too much for the food and he does all these different things. And by the end, he's killing people and eating their flesh. It's like the ultimate rehabilitation center to create loyal subjects that follow orders. It reminds me, if you read the journals of the people that are tried for crimes against humanity after World War II, the Nazi war criminals, but specifically the ones, guards and some of the higher-ups that dealt with the concentration camps. Almost all of their writings, you'll see the same thing over and over again. They were just following orders. If they weren't doing it, someone else would. They had to do it, yada, 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 yada. So if you take that and put it in terms of this tower, when they come out, oh, I was doing what I had to do to survive. If I wouldn't have done it, the higher-ups would have done it. The people below me would have done it. It's creating a system where you do terrible things. Once you do the terrible things, and the system is set up for you to do those terrible things unless you're willing to die or fight to the death against them, which most people aren't. Once you do those terrible things, then in order to justify them in your own head, just like the guards at the fucking death camps, you justify it as in they would have done it, you're following orders, etc. So in a way, you become attached to that system. And you'll keep writing that out to continue to justify those things you've done. Which is why those guards wrote it right out to the end. They did something fucking horrible. But they couldn't just be like, this is horrible, I'm going to stop halfway through. Because then they'd have to face that darkness and face those terrible things they did and realize how fucked up of human beings they are. And how they failed as people to stand up against this great evil. But instead, they were able to stay in that phase of, oh, I'm not the bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. I'm just following these orders. And so I see the tower and the hole specifically, is not about winning it. Not about getting rebellion. Not about getting those spontaneous acts. Not about someone solving it. Not about getting the people to work together. It's about having a bunch of the people die and bringing the other people through some terrible events so they'll follow orders and become loyal subjects to the regime and do anything when they get out in order to keep justifying their belief they actually did what they had to do, when really they didn't. It's pretty interesting if you analyze it a little deeper because you can actually go, if you're fat, the main character isn't fat, but if you're fat, you can actually go just about 28 days without any food. Yeah, crazy, right? So the only way you could actually win this is to not get rehabilitated, which would be to not do anything morally reprehensible, to get out with your altruism and your sense of self intact, let people know, and then maybe lead a rebellion afterwards. And every single person in the hole failed. Except maybe the main character, but that's kind of a weird ending, but you understand the point. When they talk about getting the message up to the top and what about the cooks, I think they're mistaking some endpoint. They have to have some solution. It's their mind locked in that track. They don't realize the journey is the point. The people that are up there making the food are probably people that were in the hole. So they're really fucking happy to make food when they had to survive that shit to get up there. They're people following orders. They're in the trap. Anyways, that was my fan theory on it. Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe because I have other crazy fan theories. I also make movies and I'm into fitness. So subscribe, like this and subscribe and leave me a comment. This is Solroth.